Welcome back to the WCNC Plus Live Impact Studio. I am Sports Director Nick Carboni, and we are here on a Monday at 9 o'clock, as always, after a Panthers game. But unlike the first 2 weeks, we are coming to you to talk about a Panthers victory. Who saw this coming? The Panthers are underdogs. They'd had horrific starts in their first 2 games, nearly completed the comeback against the Cardinals, couldn't do it, but they carried that over, and they wouldn't stop. All 4 quarters, domination, all 3 phases of the football game. They beat the Falcons 30-0, sending their division rivals packing back to Hot Atlanta with 0 points. So we're going to dive into this game and what worked for the Panthers and what is next with our good friend Damian Parson this Monday. Damian is with the Locked On NFL Draft Show. We usually talk to him well before the season starts about the players he thinks the Panthers might pick, and we'll get into that a little bit today. You can find Damian at DP_NFL on X and Locked On NFL Draft. They do this 5 days a week right now, because as we know around here, we start looking at mock drafts this early, but not today, not after a win, Damian. Damian, what's up, man?
What's going on, guys? I feel good. It's Monday. It's Feel Good Monday, man. I'm having a good time.
Well, Panthers fans are certainly feeling good. Now, you live in Greenville, South Carolina, Dame, so it is bright and sunny and cheerful here in Charlotte. Give me the feel a little bit further down I-85 today, what the Falcons might be feeling.
Man, they are not feeling good after that loss, right? And it's this will be the 6th start for Michael Penix, and there was a lot of inside the fan base and everyone on social media. There's a lot of talk about, okay, why aren't we playing Michael Penix in the preseason? And I think this was a talking point for the Panthers last year, where Bryce, and even this preseason, where Bryce played, Canales held him out, the starters out until the final preseason game against the backups with the Buffalo Bills, and they started off slow. This preseason, they played with the first game or two a little bit, and then they basically kept them out and they started slow the first 2 games. I think it should be known that get your starters their reps in preseason. Get them against some unfamiliar faces and let them get the rust off a little bit, no matter who your team is. But the Falcons have to be kicking themselves in the gut. Like, you go out here, you come off a game, Sunday Night Football against Minnesota, you felt like you could carry some of that momentum into this game. And I felt like what they walked into, to me, it felt like a team that walked in feeling like they had it in the bag. Where Carolina's their home opener, they're ready to go, the fans are ready to go. That defense played lights out from start to finish. Carolina's defense came with a mission, and they executed that mission from start to finish. Love what they did defensively, whether it was getting Michael Penix off his spot or just reading his eyes. Like, he missed some open reads that were there, that he forced the ball. He was too reliant on Bijan Robinson, and that's where you get that Shaw Smith-Wade, who, if you go back right before the draft, before he was drafted, he was actually on the podcast, on the Locked On NFL Draft podcast, got to talk to him. Great young man, really rooting for him. But that pick 6, he read them like a book and jumped it. And I think Mike Jackson got the second interception, down the left sideline. And the fact that they made it so difficult for those receivers to separate against man coverage, and then when they went to zone, they made him, I feel like they changed the picture on him post-snap to where he's second-guessing what he's seeing. That was just an outstanding performance defensively.
All right, so Raheem Morris, the Falcons coach, called it rock bottom for his group and his time era there. Now, the Panthers have a 24-hour rule like a lot of teams who enjoy a victory. We talked to Dave Canales today, a little bit after 1 o'clock, so less than 24 hours after the win. Our Danielle Stein asked him if the players had turned the page yet. Here's what he said.
Oh, no, we're celebrating the heck out of it right now. I mean, they're in there watching their, plays. There's a lot to learn from. It wasn't a perfect game. We left some stuff out there offensively. Defensively, we let some things get out of there, but come out of the game offensively without a turnover. Obviously, we had the punt that we put on the ground. We'd love to have 0 turnovers for the game. There's a lot to learn from in this, and so we have to be really tough, really disciplined about making sure we continue to push our football forward and improve. But you also have to enjoy these wins. Wins are hard to come by in the NFL, and they're all earned. And so, but we'll take this moment to enjoy it, and then right when these meetings end, we're flipping the switch, and we're ready to go up to New England and focus on our new opponent.
All right, Dame, you heard it there. They're still enjoying this. It's probably some fun tape to watch for these guys
Absolutely.
as well. He mentioned turnovers there and lack thereof by his offense. Bryce Young, he had nothing flashy. 16 for 24, 121 yards, ran for the touchdown, QBR of 70. No turnovers was his most important stat. What did you think about the way he played yesterday? Certainly a step forward from his first two games where he had the early turnovers that proved to be disastrous.
I think he came out confident and composed in this game early. We saw him against Arizona. The two turnovers, the fumble, the interception, and you could see in his body language that he was frustrated. He came out yesterday with a plan, like I'm gonna protect the football. The Atlanta Falcons blitzed him, I think 63% of his dropbacks, and he beat the blitz consistently, just getting the ball out, seeing it early. He's one of those quarterbacks that if he knows you're sending pressure, he knows where his hots are. So he did a good job, just high football IQ with that. I think when Canales in the soundbite, Canales talked about, they left some stuff out there, and I felt the same way watching that game. When you're up 10-0 before that pick six from Shaw Smith-Wade, they missed two field goals. Their offense was not humming at all. I wanted to see that Panthers passing attack, that offense, put their foots on their backs and just keep them down. Like take the wind out of the sails and really dominate this game. Didn't get a chance to do that, but the defense helped them by consistently getting them the ball back, making plays. And then they just say, you know what, we're going to play clock control, play keep away. And when we do give you the ball back, we're not worried because you're clearly not in this game right now.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about the options in the pass game in an upcoming segment, Damian. But when you talk about Bryce Young and you hear about him, is he still fighting a perception a little bit that he's one of the bottom quarterbacks in the league? Certainly performances like Jacksonville, first half against the Cardinals don't help. But can he rise above that perception here in the next couple of weeks with some good performances?
Absolutely. Consistency is key. Consistency is key. What you want to see that stretch from like the third quarter towards the middle, towards the end, up into the final drive against Arizona. If you can get that and bottle it up into a consistent game-to-game performance from Bryce, that's what you want from him. He looked like Alabama Bryce, just dropping back, reading zone, getting the ball out, being decisive, being intentional with his passes, and how he was reading and seeing the field. Yes, Arizona lost some defensive backs, but Bryce did what he needed to do in getting this team back into that game. You want to see him do that in games consistently. And if he can do that, you're talking about changing that narrative, man. He can absolutely do that same thing where people, at the end of the day, what Bryce went from a first overall pick, kind of talked about, a lot of people loved him coming out of Alabama, to after 2 years, people are like, I'm not too sure about him, to now I believe he's an underdog. And you take that underdog mentality into every single game and use that as a chip on your shoulder to play well. If he does that, his narrative will change.
And similarly, are the Panthers still fighting their way out of being grouped in with, you look at this year, the Dolphins, the Titans, and teams like that? I mean, were you more surprised that they beat the Falcons the way they did, or were you more surprised that they started the season the way they did?
Honestly, more surprised at how they won that game. I knew it was going to be a close game. Those division games can go either way. It's always 50-50. But to play just all phases, even though Trevor Etienne had the fumble, like Canales talked about on the special team, that's the only turnover, right? The offense didn't give them the ball. The offense didn't make any back-breaking mistakes. And the defense played sound and nearly lights out for 4 quarters. Yeah, you gave up a couple passes here or there, some runs to Bijan, but when it really mattered, you need to take the ball away, you did that. The quarterback looked completely disheveled for 4 quarters. So the way they dominated that game was just so impressive to me, and Panther fans should feel very good about that, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Because if you can, of course, you don't expect to spank a team 30-0 every week, but if you can get your defense to play to a semblance of that, halfway of that level of dominance week in and week out, when you play more competitive teams, it's going to keep your team in contention to where, it's fourth quarter, it's only a 3-point game, and you trust your offense.
All right, who would have thought the Panthers would have picked their future number 1 receiver in a draft where they'd needed defense? I'll tell you who did. This guy right here. We're going to talk to Damian Parson about T-Mac coming up. All right, welcome back to WCNC Plus Live Impact News Studio. We are talking Panthers on a victory Monday for the first time in the 2025 season. Carolina beating the brakes off the Falcons 30-0, and talking about it with us from the Locked On NFL Draft Show, which you can find every single day of your weekday, is Damian Parson. Okay, so Damian, this is the first time we've spoke during the regular season because we always lean on your draft expertise, and unfortunately around here we're gobbling those mock drafts up real early, and we're always I always say with the Panthers, it's like I gotta go scroll way down to find them in the power rankings, but I don't have to scroll at all to find them in the mock drafts because they're usually top 10. We'll see what happens at the end of this year. But months before the draft, I had you on, and of course we talked a lot about the defensive players, including Jalen Walker, who was on the field for the Falcons. We didn't hear his name much, but you told me that Tetairoa McMillan to Carolina was a possibility. You told me that before anybody else did. I want to take a listen to what you said back then.
I think there's a slight chance they can go offense at 8, but listening to Dave Canales talk, he's adamant about fixing his defense, and I think that they're going to really value that at the 8th pick. And it's simply because it's like, yeah, you could get it to Tor McMillan. For me, it's just like they need to just get guys that fit the style that Bryce plays. Where are the areas of the field that he targets the most? Get guys that can frequently occupy and win in those specific areas of the field.
All right, so yeah, Canales was selling us defense. So was the GM, Dan Morgan. But you thought that there was a clear need for a guy like T-Mac to come in. How has he helped Bryce Young so far do exactly what you said needed to be done?
Man, catch radius, right? Like this is a big guy with 6'4", 210 plus pounds that is very athletic. You know, you ever see him in pregame warmups with some of the leaping catches and grabs that he does? He can jump out of the gym, and you saw that on one of the it might have been a third down actually on the out route.
Yep.
Where Bryce kind of sees it, he sidearms it, throws it out there in front of him, and gets it out and throws it high. And you see Tetairoa McMillan go up and make that play. His catch radius, that confidence of for Bryce when Bryce is targeting him, Bryce knows I don't have to be perfect with him because he has strong hands. He can get open, but if he is covered, he can also uncover with his frame and with his ball skills. So just that ability can really boost the confidence of any quarterback where I can throw the back shoulder fade to this guy. I can throw when he's covered going across the middle. He can box defenders out at the catch point, whether on a slant or on a 50-50 ball down the field. That strength and everything else that Tetairoa McMillan brings to the game, like he's a true number one, and that's why Bryce has been targeting him in such a way. I know Jalen Coker's not there right now. I don't believe Jalen Coker should take many of the targets away from Tet. Tet should be the number one target hog in this offense. 8 to 10 targets a game. You want to feed him the football.
Yeah, I mean, he had 8 targets yesterday. That doubled up the next highest, which was Hunter Renfrow. Only 3 catches. Now, there were a few he probably should have had, one where Bryce said he threw it in the wrong spot. And I know T-Mac said he basically had an average game. 3 catches for 48 yards coming off a 2-week start where he had like $160. So how much better can he even get from where he is right now?
I think he could really take the ceiling for this offense. And that chemistry between him and Bryce, we've seen it, in multiple since in the preseason. Mm-hmm. There was a touchdown where Tet didn't sit where Bryce thought he was going to sit. Like just the chemistry there. Like once they get that stuff ironed out and they are literally seeing the field, seeing the defensive shells and concepts and coverages the exact same way, they have that to the point where that they're feeling on the same page when Bryce can look at Tet at the line of scrimmage, just give that head nod. He knows what route to run. They see the covers the exact same way, and they can take advantage of it. Once they get that chemistry down pack, I think this is a relationship, QB wide receiver relationship, that's going to blossom into one of the better young ones in the NFL.
Yeah, and you talk about building that chemistry. It just feels like with all the turbulence they had in the receiver room right before the season, trading Adam Thielen, cutting Hunter Renfrow, Jalen Coker goes down, Renfro's back, everything that's going on with Legette that we'll get into. Bryce is still figuring it out in real time. Like, who am I going to? Now JT Sanders, his young tight end, is hurt a little bit. What do you think is going on with Xavier Legette, though? He's got 8 yards through 2 games. He came into the second game with 10 yards. He had a -2 performance on 8 targets. And then he picks up a hamstring injury midweek, was questionable going into the game. Now, he had an injury. Normally when a guy's questionable going into the game, more often than not, they're going to play. That's the percentage with a questionable designation. We know he beats himself up. I don't know how much you watch this guy at South Carolina, but what do you know about him and what maybe he needs to do to pick this thing back up and turn it around?
Man, he has to keep himself uplifted, right? And not even just that. I think that's when the Adam Thielen being in the room is so pivotal as well to that young receiver who's kind of struggling to go and talk to the OG and say, man, I'm in the funk right now. I'm in a rut, man. I'm not sure what's going on. I think it was week 1 against Jacksonville. He had the corner route or the out route where Bryce throws it out early and he doesn't get 2 feet in, right? The spatial awareness is not there. When I watch him, I see a player that's not confident. At South Carolina, he made plays. I remember we thought he was 6'3". Everyone thought he was 6'3" before the Senior Bowl. And the way he played bigger than his frame. He was tough. He was physical. All of that. Jumping over guys. I remember the Florida game. They threw a 50-yard post route. And you just see him sky over a defensive back and take it off the top of his helmet. That confidence that we saw at South Carolina, we have not seen. I think the injuries last year took that away from him. But also I feel like Carolina – this is the second time they've done this. First, it was when you traded DJ Moore in that package to get Bryce. You trade up to get Jonathan Mingo, and there's an expectation that Mingo's stepping into a wide receiver 1 role that he wasn't ready for. And I felt like it's the same thing last year with Legette. And when you're thrusting into that position, into that role that you're not ready for, and then you don't live up to the expectations, man, it can really mess with the mind of a player. So I look at Legette right now, and I see a player that's struggling with his own confidence.
All right, so we'll see if he's back out on the field in New England this week. I want to give the defense their flowers once more, but talk to you about 2 of their younger players who are now finding themselves in ascending roles just due to their draft status and injuries, and Nick Scorton and Princely Umanmielen. Umanmielen is a trip to talk to. He spent most of yesterday's postgame in the locker room tweeting. I don't know if you've seen any of those, but so we finally caught up to him today, and I asked Princely, was there a moment they could tell they had just rattled Michael Penix?
Yeah, I think mainly every third down, even though we didn't have no sacks, we was affecting him. We had a lot of batted throws, forced throws on him because of how much pressure we was getting on him as a unit, as a D-line edges, even some of the blitzes. I could just tell from our third down rushes.
So this kid and Nick Scorton, who started yesterday because Pat Jones was out, we talked about drafting T-Mac in the first round. The plan was then to go get defense in rounds 2 and 3. They did that with 2 first-team All-SEC edge rushers. What did you make of these guys coming into the league and the Panthers selecting them, and what have you made of their kind of build-up so far through 3 weeks?
Yeah, coming out, they were 2 of the two of the better passers, especially Princely. He had the get off, the speed, the bend around the edge. He can convert speed to power, and he had a high motor where even if you stopped the first move, he just kept working to the quarterback. He was a guy that with his speed and closing burst, if the quarterback flushed out, he's chasing them down. You know what I mean? And you love to have that type of energy and confidence on your defensive line, especially from the pass rush position. And Nick Scourton had arguably the best spin move in this class. If he could set you up and hit that spin move, he's going to clear you, whether it was inside spin or outside spin. And, for him, it was always about what weight you're going to have him at. Is he going to be 270? Is he going to be 255? Where are you going to play him in terms of weight to where you where you can get the best out of him? And what I'm seeing right now is just two young pups that are very hungry, that want their opportunities, and it's hey, coach, it's 3rd and 10. Let us go. Let us free. Let us pin our ears back and go get the quarterback. And I think that they're showcasing that they can do that over the past game or two when they've gotten these opportunities. And I think as this season goes on and you are able to force more quarterbacks, like he said, hey, we didn't get the sacks, but we got enough pressure to where Michael Penix felt and heard footsteps on third downs, and now you're getting the erratic high passes. He's not throwing with any touch. He's laser beaming everything. And he's not playing the quarterback position as coaches would design it. So I think these two young guys have such high ceilings in this defense. Stop the run on early downs, and then on third and longs, let them go eat.
All right, Scorton played 85% of the defensive snaps yesterday. Uman Mielen, more situational, 52%, but that's around where the Panthers staff and their fans want to see it. Playing 100% of the snaps with us is Damian Parson. We got one more to go, buddy. I'm going to ask you a tricky question about the 2026 draft when it comes to the Panthers. And who would you draft if you were the Panthers if the draft was like tonight? So we'll get to that in a minute. Wrapping up here, talking about the Panthers' first win of the season, 30-0 against the Atlanta Falcons, with my guy Damian Parson from Locked On NFL Draft at DP_NFL. Damian, want to go a little bit around the league for you in a second. What's going on with the Colts and Daniel Jones? I mean, this guy was a 0-star recruit here, played well at Duke. Dave Gettleman shocked the world, drafted him 6th overall with the Giants, didn't work out there, and now all of a sudden he is resurging like I don't think anybody could have imagined.
Yes, Shane Steichen and Daniel Jones are on the same page with the play calling and what he's asking for and what he's looking for in a quarterback, getting the ball out quick, being smart with the decision-making, not forcing the ball into tight windows, right? Reading the field, getting it out to the open man. And Daniel Jones is just efficiently being a point guard and running this offense. So it looks great right now, especially teams. I want to see what happens when teams start playing more tight coverage, more man-to-man, because against zone, yeah, they're getting it to Tyler Warren, to Josh Downs, to Alec Pierce, and all the litany of receivers they have. And Jonathan Taylor's running the heck out of the football, man. This is an offense that's just running as a well-oiled machine right now.
All right, I'm going to ask you to look a week ahead into the future. Go to the opposite end of that spectrum, the team that the Colts beat to start the season, Miami Dolphins, who have now in 3 losses given up 33, 33, and 31 points. If the Dolphins, because they have a bye this week, I think, or no, I'm sorry, they had a mini bye. They play the 29th on Monday Night Football against the Jets. Stage is set, winnable game. If Tua and Mike McDaniel don't come through in that game, are they through?
They should be. I think they should be. There's been a lot of talk, just even in the offseason, about the culture over in Miami. And Mike McDaniels was that fun, exciting head coach, so laid back, chill and cool. And that stuff is great until you're not winning. And the inability to stick with the run game when they should and different things like that over these past couple years. If they lose to the Jets, especially if it's a non-Justin Fields Jets, if it's a Tyrod Taylor-led Jets, like if you lose to that team on Monday Night Football, I don't know. And I know they came out and said he's not playing for his job. That stuff sounds great. It's to tell the fans, okay, everything's fine until you lose another game. And then if you lose badly, then things can easily be flipped on its head. This is a team that, to me, the seat is hot. It's been hot since the summer. They got a lot of things to figure out.
All right, the Dolphins mark the only win on the schedule for the New England Patriots, who host the Carolina Panthers this coming Sunday in Week 4. Patriots turned it over 5 times. Ramondre Stevenson, couple of fumbles. Drake May, obviously not his best game either, with an interception. To me, I think May is going to pose a little bit more of a threat with his arm than Penix did, even if the Panthers defense is able to rattle him a little bit. What do you kind of make of this matchup as we're 6 days away from it?
Yeah, this is a different style quarterback because Drake May like Penix, has a big arm and can make every throw, but Drake May is also very athletic. And so it's like when you talk about getting pressure, and you got to be very disciplined with your rush, with your pass rush. If you get out of your lanes and different things like that, he's going to make you pay with his legs, whether it's extending plays, giving his receivers a second reaction window to separate and find them down the field, or he just takes it and gets to 10 yards and converts and move the chains with his legs. He can do that as well. And at the same time, it's hard. He's not a guy, even when he makes mistakes, he's still punching. He's like a boxer that, I've taken my lumps. I'm going to still throw this ball. I'm going to still try and put my team in position to win, in which they were in a position to win. They just, Ramondre Stevenson has to, contain the fumbles, because if he does, he's a good running back. But they have Travion Henderson that's right back there behind him. Speed, explosiveness, pass catching out of the backfield, things of that nature. They got to figure out just how they want to get this offense to run, but it definitely poses a different challenge for this Panthers defense.
Kind of a similar game because the Patriots outgained the Steelers. Falcons outgained the Panthers. But the Patriots turned it over way more. Same thing the Falcons did. And 5 sacks given up. Can the Panthers actually break through and bring the quarterback down? They didn't have a sack against the Falcons. So, all right, let's wrap up with this, Damian. I want to get to this. Say the NFL draft. Say the NFL did something goofy. They're going to draft here after week 3. The Panthers are coming off a shutout victory on defense. I don't think their defensive issues are solved. I presume you don't either. So if the draft were tonight, who would the Panthers pick? Who are some guys you could see fitting into this team?
Man, 3 names come to mind. There are 3 guys that's really high on my big board. Number 1 is Caleb Downs, the safety from Ohio State. The safety spot is a weak point for this Panthers secondary. That this is a guy that can play nickel. He can play on top of the defense, 2 high shells. He's so instinctive. He's a playmaker. He breaks plays up when you're talking about coming down, being a force defender in the run game, blitzing the quarterback. And I've said this on the podcast. The way he plays the game reminds me a lot of when he was at LSU, the Honey Badger, in terms of Tyrann Mathieu. Just so disruptive at the line of scrimmage, dropping off in coverage and zones, but also playing man coverage as well. He will make plays. He will. And then when you want to get creative, go back to that Ohio State Week 1 game against Arch Manning. Matt Patricia knew he could run a lot of the things he ran because I have a guy like Caleb Downs in my secondary that I could move him wherever. We can blanket guys. We can rob and take things away. So adding him to this secondary with Mike Jack at corner, Shaw Smith-Wade at nickel, J.C. Horn, that would be a fun secondary to watch build up, especially with the 2 young pass rushers and 2 other names. If they wanted to go D-line, Ruben Bain out of Miami has had the best year of any defender through the first 4 weeks of college football. This guy is wrecking game plans. He's 6'3", 275 at wide 9 edge, and he is punishing offensive tackles. You go to the Notre Dame game, the game last week against Florida. He has not really been able to be blocked, and he's really good in the run game. But with his build, he can also play interior defensive line as well. He's just a freakish athlete at his size and freakish player overall. And if they wanted to go D-tackle to pair someone long-term with Derek Brown, look for Peter Woods from Clemson. I know Clemson is having that down season, but if you turn on the tape, this guy is still stuffing the run. He's still doing everything he's been doing. It's just they're not putting him in position to rush the passer the way that we would like to see. I think he could be an instant impact player for this defensive line.
So what you're forgetting, Damian, is the Panthers, I think, have been banned from drafting Clemson players. They've never done it in 30 years. So
I don't know why.
It would be from the worst Clemson team in 40 years, wouldn't it? But he is a monster. Damian Parson, you're the best, man. So 5 days a week, you're talking draft, locked on NFL draft. I hit it on YouTube. Where else can we find it, or is that the best spot?
Apple Podcasts, Spotify, basically wherever you get audio podcasts, you definitely can go subscribe and check it out. And, of course, like you said, on YouTube as well.
Awesome. You're the best, man. Thanks for diving in with me.
Appreciate it. Anytime.
All right, we're talking Panthers every Monday here at 9 o'clock on WCNC+. We'll see you next week.